Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is SYA The Talk, and we're so excited today because I am together, I am gathered, I am joined by two teachers, and it's amazing because they're both in our SYA leadership, and today we're going to be speaking about education and faith and how that merges together and why it's even important to be a smart Christian, if that makes any sense. But without further ado, I want to introduce my first guest, Miss Isabel. Isabel, say what's up to the people.
What's up, people?
All right, very quiet. And my second guest, I have Mary. Mary, say what's up to the people.
Hello, everybody.
Well, yes, guys, as you guys know, here at The Talk, every single week we're going to be bringing content that you want to hear. And just wanted to start off the podcast very just introducing type like kind of introducing a little bit about you guys. So, Isabel, talk to me, man. Or ma'am. Talk to me. At what age did you get saved? Give me a little bit of a backstory of how you got saved and what age.
Okay. Well, what age? I think I was 14 or 15. I was a freshman in high school.
Okay.
And a backstory. I wasn't raised Christian. I was actually raised a Catholic.
Okay.
With my family. And, you know, time passed and I grew up and my parents got a divorce and my mom met with one of my best friend's moms that came to Segadores, and she invited her and we came and that was it.
So you just got your mom's friend invited your mom to come to church, and you were just like, hey, I'm going to just start coming to this church. When did you decide that? What was that moment that you said, man, I gotta be saved. Like, I want to be like Christ, or God, I love you. Like, take me as I am type of thing. That Titanic moment that you're at the end of the boat that you're just like, God, I'm all yours type of thing.
I think it was like right after my parents' divorce that I was going through like a really tough time. I felt like I was very insecure about myself. I was, you know, I wouldn't really say I was depressed, but I just wasn't like, I didn't feel like myself. So when I went to church and I heard pastor and I would go to group, I was like, okay, like this is what I want.
Dope. Okay, so community, group, church kind of got you going into being saved. Yes. Mary, talk to me. What age? How did it go? Give me a little breakdown of that moment.
Okay, well, I've been going to some form of church since pretty much birth, but I didn't actually get saved, I would say, until about 12 years old. We were having a concert at church. I cannot remember who it was that was here, but they were leading worship, and as they were leading worship, they did an altar call, and I just knew in my heart that I needed to be there, and I just ran to the altar, and that was, I think, the moment that I was sure that I wanted to do it not for my parents, but for myself.
Pretty big decision, I would say, at 12 years old, for you to go ahead and say, you know, I want to be saved. And Isabel, what age did you say again? 15. At 15. So 12 and 15, right? I think those ages are very big and stand out to me. I mean, I gave my life to Christ at 16. But 12 and 15 goes kind of hand in hand with kind of what we want to talk about today, because, you know, kids, youth, it's a very big topic because a lot of us, you know, just like you guys, we gave our life to Christ at a young age. So talk to me a little bit more. Okay, so 12, 15, Isabel, you give your life to Christ here at 15 years old, and life continues. And talk to me a little bit more about where you are now and how that decision has led you to where you are today. Outside of just the leadership. This is we're talking about outside of church. How has it affected your life?
It has affected my life greatly. Because of me getting saved and coming to Segadores since I was 15, I met my husband at church. Okay. And we're married, and we've been married for about a year and a half. So I think that that's a really big impact.
Definitely the person you choose to live your life.
Yeah, exactly. My husband. And, you know, getting my other family members to come. You know, they don't come as often, but they have come and they know, you know, what our church is about. They know who our pastor is. And just the way that I live my life, you know, when it comes to things like my career, which I'm sure we're going to get into soon, you know, the way Pastor Ruddy is, how passionate he is, goes into my life with my career, my marriage, my husband. Like, it's just...
It's very rare to hear somebody say, oh, the pastor of the church's passion kind of influences me, right?
Yes.
I think that's pretty big. Mary, talk to me a little bit about where you are today and how at 12 years old at an altar call, now you're here today.
I mean, I definitely think that the key of me getting saved so young, just it impacted every decision I made. Like, there was no decision, even when, as I grew older, I gave my life to Christ at 12, but as I grew older, and there are moments where in your teens you kind of start to drift away, or when you get to college and you start to drift away, even then, every decision or every bad decision that I was tempted to make or wanted to make, I always thought about what I would be giving up. Yeah. It was always a reminder that I had a community, I was serving, and I was doing all these things, and I had all these people that, you know, maybe looked up to me, or maybe I had led to Christ as well. And if I didn't do the right thing, or if I didn't make the right call, I would be affecting their faith as well. Wow. And I think for me, that was a huge, huge, huge impact, because I didn't want to be responsible for somebody else losing their faith. Yeah. I barely wanted to be responsible for myself losing my own faith, but I definitely didn't want to be the cause for somebody else falling. And I can't say that that I was perfectly did it, but I know that it was a huge impact, and I wouldn't be where I am if I hadn't been so conscious of who I could affect with my choices.
So I would say that maybe you being saved at a young age and now where you're at in life is kind of like, okay, me being saved affected me in a way that now I want to lead people. And of course I have people that are affected by my decision, which is great. I mean, again, your family, I'm sure, looks at you like, oh, the Christian girl. I'm sure that the same thing as you, like, oh, this is an example, which a lot of times is good and bad pressure, I would say, right? Because it's good pressure because it's like, okay, I got to stay on my toes. I got to make sure that I'm representing Christ the right way. But at times, sometimes it's like, oh, man, like, I really don't feel like talking to anybody today, because we're human, you get me? Like, I really don't feel like, just doing some certain things that require sacrifice, because, I mean, what is sacrifice without doing something you don't want to do? I mean, that is what sacrifice is, right? So I think that's very cool, the fact that, like, how it's altered you. Your husband, started coming to this church, and yours is kind of like, okay, my whole life became about other people, which, again, I'm sure we all share that same lifestyle because we're all leaders. I think that's one of the biggest things as a leader, is understanding that people are looking at you, right? So just to dive in a little bit more, right? I'm very curious to hear your opinion on our youth nowadays and where we stand as a youth, because I would say mainstream media doesn't portray youth very intelligent. You get me? Like, we're not showing the youth as being very intelligent. We're showing the youth as being these viral kids that do nonsense stuff. I mean, what blows up the most in our social media is kids that do kind of stuff that doesn't make sense, but is only to gain popularity. And I mean, I can even imagine you two as teachers saying, man, like, what is going on? So talk to me up first and foremost. How did you become a teacher? And tell me more about how being a teacher has been affected because you're saved. Isabel, we'll start with you.
Well, how I became a teacher, I felt growing up that I always wanted to be a teacher, but then, like, everyone was like, oh, when you grow up, don't be a teacher because they're not respected and you're not paid well. So, obviously I heard that. Yeah. And then I had like other little interests that I wanted to get into, like biology or nursing. So I began that when I started going to FIU. Mm-hmm. But I just felt like it wasn't me. And one day I prayed to God. I'm like, God, if you really want me to be a teacher, like, give me signs, show me. Like, at the time I was looking for a part-time job. So I'm like, let me find a part-time job that will be in the field of teaching and working with children and also give me the time to go to school. And I think that same week I had a friend call me and was like, hey, are you looking for a job? We're looking for an aftercare leader. And I thought that was perfect. I'm like, well, that's my sign. Mm-hmm. So I think the week following that, I went to the job, I interviewed, I got the job, and then I went like to my counselor at FIU and I just switched over everything and I started, my teaching classes and I graduated and I became a teacher.
That's dope. So teaching now, how do you think that, especially knowing, the truth, being saved, how has that affected your teaching? I mean, I'm sure that your teaching is completely a little bit
Yes.
more like, all right, I'm not only here to teach you what's 2 + 2 type of thing. Like, I'm here to kind of instruct you in life as well. Because let's be honest, how many things have we learned from our teachers in school that have impacted us in our life?
Yes, it has greatly affected my teaching, because I don't just look at my students in my classroom or any kids that I encounter in my school as just like a kid or a kid that I need to give a grade to. You know, I look at them as like almost like a soul. Like, okay, like I need to nurture this child. I need to make sure that they're getting everything they need, not only through their education but also like emotionally and as much as I can spiritually. You know, obviously we're not allowed to talk about God in school, but you know, I try to like encourage them as much as I can. I try to, you know, get to know them. If I know that they know God, then I talk about it. But if I know that they're like of another religion or anything else, I'm not going to treat them anything different from a kid that's Christian. You know, I'm going to treat them all the same. But I definitely look at all the children that are under my care, under my roster of my class in my school, as like little souls, kind of, sort of.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
I can see, when you say that, I can see that, because I mean, I kind of see it very similar in our groups. I mean, in our groups, those are souls. Mary, talk to me a little about you, how you got into teaching and how it's been affected you with your teaching as well.
So I actually went the roundabout way.
Okay. Explain to me what the roundabout way is.
So in the state of Florida, you don't have to have a teaching degree to teach. And even though my friend Isabel for many years would tell me, you're a teacher, and my mom would tell me, you're a teacher, you love to teach, you are never as happy and as excited as when you are teaching somebody something. I was like, nah, I told myself everything that people told Isabel. I told myself that
is crazy.
It's not a good paying job. I'm going to be frustrated. I'm not going to be respected. Why would I do that? But I graduated college and I was looking for what career I was going to have. And I just didn't, there was nothing I wanted to do. All the things that I had said I was going to pursue, I realized in college that they weren't me. They weren't what I wanted to spend my life doing. And of course at church, I spent years teaching leadership class and teaching kids ministry class, and
she's amazing.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's true. I forgot about that. You're leadership. You're the leadership teacher.
Yes, for the youth.
You're involved in leadership class too.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
So
guys, I completely forgot about that. By the way. I'm just thinking school teachers, but I forgot you guys are also involved in teaching here at the. Okay.
So,
all right. That's true.
Yeah, so I mean, it was always where I was happiest. Like, I have a ton of nieces and nephews, and whenever I could teach them anything, I would get so excited. And my mom would just tell me time and time again, like, what are you doing? Like, go teach. Yeah. So I did what I had to do. I took my exams to become a certified teacher in the state of Florida, and I got a job teaching, and it has just been a journey ever since.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, look, I'll tell you guys honestly, a lot of times, and especially in our generation, I think we all go through that. I think we all go through that situation that we're just like, God, give me an answer on what to do with our career, which I think just knowing what you want to do as a career is a blessing already, right? Because in our generation, today's generation, we're all struggling with that. We're all struggling with knowing, what we want to do, and God, give me a sign, like you were saying. I mean, I've asked that, like, God, please give me a sign on what's next for my life, because we all get frustrated in that. And I kind of want to talk a little bit more, guys, about, like I was saying earlier, about this generation and about how you guys see this young generation and how important is it to be educated at a young age, because I think it's very important. I'll just start off with myself. I think it's very important because at 12 years old, if you weren't mature enough to make a decision of saying, God, I want you in my life, and your mindset was kind of immature, maybe you would have not taken that leap of faith. The same thing as 15 years old. Like, if we're not educated at a young age, we might not be mature enough to even take the things of God seriously, right? So Mary, elaborate a little bit about how important you think it is for our youth, for the 12 to 17, 18-year-olds that are watching us right now. Like, why is it important for me to focus on my education type of thing?
I think it is extremely important, and
Yeah.
I'm not just saying that as a teacher, but I think that there's a kind of a stigma about like Christians where you can either be really intelligent and not have faith, or you can be average and have total faith. And I feel like people who are academics or people who are, you know, the highly educated, the elite, they're, for the most part, you kind of tend to see that they don't have so much faith. And I feel like we as Christians have a responsibility, not necessarily to become academics. That's not going to be everybody's, you know, goal in life. But we as Christians have a responsibility to portray that intelligence and faith can go hand in hand, that not just intelligence, even education and faith can go hand in hand, that you can have an education, that you can take it seriously, that you can know things about the world, about how the world works, that you can navigate every circle as much as any other person. You can go into business, you can go into law, you can go into medicine, you can go into any field and be truly educated and be the expert and be the one that knows the most and does the most, and still have faith and still be a person of faith, be a young man or a young woman of God. I think we have a responsibility to change the narrative that's out there, that you can't be the best educated in the room or the most educated in the room and also be a person of faith.
Wow. Wow. How about you, Isabel? Your take on that? What do you think can be maybe something that we can change at a young age that can kind of make us start? Obviously, being educated is, I mean, education period, reading books and researching and stuff like that. But talk to me more about the younger kids and what they can do to kind of seek, you know, more education. Obviously, school is a main thing, but what can they do outside of school that they can kind of gain a little bit more knowledge, not only in the Word, because obviously, you know, knowing the Bible is very important, but kind of resources that they can have to kind of gain more knowledge of other things other than school?
I think that when you're growing up, it's really important to have great role models. And, you know, obviously our leadership at church has amazing role models. So I think that an amazing resource for young people would be going to their group, coming to youth service, and just looking for those role models, getting with those people, you know, having those people be your people, and just, you know, doing life with them. And yeah, I just think that, you know, nowadays, like, you know, my husband and I talk about it all the time. Everyone has an opinion.
Yeah.
And just especially
with an account,
yes,
Instagram, Facebook account,
everyone has an
everybody
opinion.
Can have an opinion, yeah.
And just because someone's opinion sounds cool and awesome, that's gonna be your opinion, and that's so frustrating because it's like we're becoming into people that aren't thinking for ourselves. We're kind of like thinking like, oh, what's the popular thing? What's the cool thing? Opinion?
Wow,
yeah,
that's so true.
And it's so frustrating to see that. That no one is really like looking at like what is the truth and what can lead them to greater and better things, other than just like thinking that the next thing is cool. Like, it sucks, but
so leadership, mentorship, right?
Yes.
Being a mentor for some people, like you were saying, or being a mentor for our youth is very important. So just deep diving a little bit more into that, because I think that's again, not everything that you learn is going to be learned at school, right? Like sometimes I say to myself, especially that, you know, we all got married, like, yo, at school they never taught us how to do our taxes, man. What's going on? Type of, you know, like they taught me what's X plus Y type, you know, the algebra stuff, but I think that's so important for us to understand that, because there is times that we can even say to ourselves like, oh, I'm too smart to be led. And that can even be dangerous as well, right? Yeah. I think you can find people like that, and you can encounter people that you want to help them, like you want to lead them, like, hey, no, listen, don't do this, don't make this decision. And we find ourselves saying, you just think you're too smart for this. Like you just think like maybe you're not being convinced by this. So kind of transitioning into more deep diving into more of our leadership. How long have you guys been group leaders? And talk to me a little bit about how your leadership in your group and kind of your style, because I'll be honest with you, right? I'll start with me, kind of give you guys some time to think, because whenever somebody asks you a question, you just kind of like, wait, I haven't thought about this in a long time. So I've been a leader since 16. I'm currently 27 years old. And so it's safe to say 11 years, right? 11 years I've been a leader. And my style of leadership, it's very, not. I mean, yeah, it's different. We're all different. But mine is more like, okay, let's have group at a park. Let's play basketball. Let's create bonds with these people at the parks and invite them to group, you know? And my way of doing it is like, yo, let's ball up. Da, 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 da. Hey, what's up? What's your name? Oh, my name is Will. Hey, Will, come on, let's play basketball, whatever. We'll play basketball. And then after the basketball, yo, good game, man. It's awesome. Listen, bro, I just want to let you know, right after this game, we're going to have a cell group. And look, a lot of people don't even go to church. It's like a little taste of church, man. You could come through, listen to a word, and we want to pray for your family. And I promise you, every time I tell them we just want to pray for you, they're just like, hey, I'm down. I mean, it's free prayer, right? Or why not? So that's kind of like how I do my group. And in my group now, like the kids that are kind of looking at me as a role model, it's kind of like that. Like this outgoing guy, this guy is a little, you guys know me personally. You guys are both my friends. So you guys know that I can't stay still for too long. Like I'm just like this guy, like, come on, where we going? All right. And some people are like, no, Alex, I just want to sit down and read a book, just relax. But that's my way of being, and my way of being has maybe attracted a certain group of people. So talk to me more, Isabel, about your group and the girls that you have in your group and how long you've been a leader.
Well, I believe I've been a leader since I've been 17, so that's 10 years. Which is a lot, which now I'm thinking is a lot. I'm like, wow, it's been so long.
Yeah, I've got you both beat.
Yeah.
14 years.
14. Wow.
14. I had my group at 13. I'm 27.
No way.
God.
Wait, so we're all 27 here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, I didn't think
That
about
is
that.
cool. I didn't think of that.
Okay, so you were doing your group for 10 years. Talk to me about the people that go to your group and the type of mentorship that you do at your group.
Well, the way I like to run my group is a little different from the way you run your group. Right? I like to have like a very chill environment. Like before the girls come over or whoever comes over, you know, I make sure that the house is super clean, that we have some candles lit. Like it's just very relaxed, very mellow. Like you come to my house and you feel like you can just like lay down on the couch. And like I love that. Right, like you feel just very relaxed, very at home. I serve the girls, and you know what, like the way I preach, I kind of just like throw it out, like, you know, the word and like a verse or two or whatever we're going to talk. But I really like to discuss. I really like to see like what's in the girls, like what is in their mind. Like, okay, we're talking about this. What do you think about that? Have you ever heard about that? Like, how does that relate to your life? And, you know, outside of group, like, I really like to get to know people. I like to get to know, like, where they come from, you know, what they're about, like, and yeah, that's how I do it. So
you have a very zen group. So people walk into your house and it's like a Bed Bath & Beyond type of thing.
Yes,
okay,
very zen.
Very different from mine.
Yes.
Mary, talk to me about your group. Okay. Which I'm dying to hear because I know that there has been some changes. So
yeah, there have been some changes.
Okay, so how long have you been doing groups?
I've had groups since I was 14. I'm 27, so that's 13? I can't do math. I'm a math teacher. I can't do math. 13, yes, 13 years. No, 14. 14 years. I've had group. 13, 27, yes, 14 years. I promise I am a math teacher. I can do math.
For sure.
And yeah, my group has been through a lot of different like versions of it. When I started, all the girls in my group pretty much were around my age, which was super awkward because I'm here 13 trying to have group, trying to lead other 13-year-olds, and I barely knew how to lead myself. No. But I mean, for sure I did it. And nowadays I feel like I'm much more in tune with like what I know how to do. And I think what I know how to do is very similar to what Isabel's saying, is that I just want people to come in and feel comfortable. I want them to feel like they're heard, they're listened to. Like I don't, you know, a lot of times before I even get to start my preaching, it ends up being just a conversation of, you know, what are we going through? What are we doing? Like every day, how's life been, you know? Or even, man, I'm so tired. Like, you know, like same, you know, and we can kind of just like vent, and I want people to really feel like they have a space to come and to just be honest about what they're going through, what they're thinking and feeling. And you know, definitely I love the, you know, the questions aspect of group where we get to kind of ask questions and see where people are at. I think that that's something
that's challenging.
It's challenging, and it's also, it really kind of forces people to start opening up and then realize, wait, you're not here to judge me. You're here to just hear me out and hear what you have to say, and maybe try to offer some helpful biblical advice, but oftentimes it's just, yeah, you know, that's true. I've been there too, and I felt that too, and have them realize that they're not alone in this journey, and like, you know, we can have this conversation about whatever it is that they're facing, whatever it is that they're going through, and I'm going to be there to just try and guide them, because I'm not, you know, and every preaching I preach, I think I say, you know, whatever I'm preaching to myself first. Like, so don't think I got it. Like, we're figuring it out together. And I think that in that way, it's become much more of like a discussion and a conversation where we can all like just really connect with each other. And then hopefully from there, I can see, you know, how to help and how to guide and how to lead people outside of group, beyond, you know, just that 1 hour a week.
I think that's great because, yeah, we have group, but our leadership goes beyond just that group. I mean, I've had the craziest encounters. I've had people call me at 2, 3 in the morning. Hey, I just got kicked out of my house. And I'm like, dude, I live with my parents. Like, what do you want me to do type of thing, right? That's happened to me various times. I've had times that, you know, when I first started my group, all my guys were super older than me. They were like 19, 21, and I was like 17, 16. So it was just like very awkward for me at the beginning. But it's crazy how throughout the years, you're kind of like your lane of how you lead people is kind of sharpened. You know, I think I mean, again, like the type of people you guys lead are very different to the type of people I lead. But at the end of the day, all roads lead to that one goal, which is Jesus. And I think it's so great, especially now. I mean, just to give you an example, you guys are now in, what is it called, Sega Kids now? Or I mean,
so now
VCJ
it's called
camp?
Sega Kids.
I don't want to say VCJ. I heard that
no,
VCJ
it's
is
Sega
a very
Kids.
Sega Kids
Kids
camp, right? So talk to me. I mean, you guys are fresh out of Sega Kids camp, right?
Yes.
You guys just went through Sega Kids camp, so you guys encountered a lot of youth, right? So I mean, again, how is it leading even the younger kids? Because again, we mentor people that are around our age or maybe a little bit younger or older, but how do you guys see like these kids that are here in Sega Kids camp that you guys are just like, man, this is exhausting. Like leading these kids is not easy. Talk to me more about how your experience has been here at the camp.
It's been great. I'm usually with the little ones, 5 to 6, and these past 3 days I've been with the 9 and 10-year-olds, and it's been very different, very interesting. But I like it a lot. My kids are really cute. They're like good kids. But what I've noticed about my group, I think, is they just want someone to encourage them. Like they're so full of potential, and they're all so different, and they're all so unique. But like when I encourage them, like their little faces light up. So I've just been like making sure that whenever I have the opportunity to like talk to them or say something, or I see that they're doing like a great job, like, you know, I point that out, like, oh my gosh, you guys are doing so great. Like we went to the movies yesterday,
you guys went
and
to
they
the
were,
movies?
we went to the movies yesterday.
That's awesome.
And they did amazing. Like I was so proud of them, and I told them when we got in the bus, I'm like, I'm so proud of you guys. And they started clapping and cheering. It was just awesome. So I think they're just like, you know, for my group, they're just looking for someone to encourage them and remind them that they're doing good, that they're doing a good job.
That's awesome. I think that doesn't change when you get older. I'm like that. I mean,
yeah,
that's my wife all day. You threw out the trash. Yeah, you did throw out the trash. Yeah. Shout out to Janessa, because she's always encouraging me. Whenever I do something great, like, hey, can you put gas in the car? Yeah. Thank you for putting gas. I'm like, all right, awesome. Okay, cool. But yeah, I mean, that never changes. But it's awesome to know that at such a young age, you know, what if these kids didn't go to Sega Kids camp? You know, like. Yeah. Do these kids get encouraged at home? You get me? Like, because again, maybe some of the parents are not saved and they're not educated, or they don't really know. I mean, let's be honest. A lot of things that we do today has been impacted by what we've done growing up. Like, I mean, you can't tell me nothing. When I get out of the shower, I need to make sure there's a towel on the floor because I don't like to touch the floor. It's weird. I know, but that's how I grew up. Like, everybody has such these weird things, which I think is very important with the topic of today, because it talks about, I mean, we're talking about our youth and how it's impacted our future. And again, I'm very big on let's start from the beginning now, so then the future could be impacted. So we're almost done. We're almost out of here, but I have one more thing to talk about, and this right here we ask all of our guests, right? And this is kind of a very deep question, but again, this is a question that will make you think. But hey, it's recorded, okay? All right, so the question that we always ask here at the talk, this is like our bonus question, is when everything is all said and done, right? 99 years old, or you're passed away, or whatever the case may be, at the end of this race, at the end of your life, what do you want to be known for? right? I ask this to our guests all the time, like, okay, like for an example, if I'm 99 years old, or if I get to see the last of my days, or if I've passed away, it's a very deep question, but at the end of the day, it puts our life in perspective, because it makes you think, why am I doing the things that I'm doing in this life? Like, what legacy do you want to leave behind? We've had the most craziest answers, but they're awesome. Hey, it's what people want to be known for. So we'll start with you, Mary. What do you want to be known? At the end of the day, you're 99 years old. You're here talking to your grandkids, or however many grandkids you have. But what do you want to be known for? What do you want to go down in the books as?
I think that for me, it would just be, I want to be known for how well I handled difficult things, and how well I loved despite difficult things.
We're going to cue in, I'm a survivor.
I think, like, if you, like, our career choice, it's not an easy thing. Like, you know, it is at the end of the day. Like, you are a lot of times overworked and underpaid, or even just in life, like, you're going to go through things that aren't the way that you want them to be, and life is always going to have ups and downs. But I want to be known or remembered for the way that I handled it. You know, like, I faced it with a smile, and I loved anyway. And I've, you know, crazy students in Psych Kids Camp and at work, and I'm like, it's okay, I'm still gonna love you through it, and we're gonna get through it. And hopefully that love that I felt and I displayed will be the thing that leaves an impact on them for years to come.
Wow. So you want to be known as a survivor, the person that was fighting and still smiled.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Make sure you go out with camo. Make sure, like, I'm a warrior type of thing, right? So Isabel, talk to me a little about the legacy you want to leave at the end.
I think the legacy I want to leave at the end is just the fact that, like serving. Like, I want to be, like, the best wife that I can be. I want to be the best leader that I can be to my girls in group, to, you know, to my children. When I have children, I want to be the best mother. You know, it's not always easy. Like, you're not going to be the best 100% every single day, but I want to be able to know that that I served them with everything that I could. You know, my children at school, that I served them with everything that I could, because a lot of the times I see my job as, like, a service to God, because like, I know that I have the potential to do something else, but for some reason, like, God didn't put that in my heart. He didn't give me those abilities. Like, he gave me the ability to be a teacher where I'm at, and the capacity to love the kids that are in front of me. So I'm going to do that to the best that I can, to the best service that I know how to give to those people. So that's what I want to be known as.
That's awesome. Guys, amazing. You guys did amazing. We don't have an audience, but we have one member. Can we give a round of applause, please, to our guests? Yes, guys. So SY, this has been the talk. We're so excited. Any last words, any social media you guys want to drop? Mary, we'll start with you.
I don't want to drop social media. I just want to tell you guys, read your books.
Okay.
And all the genres and all the subjects and all the categories. It blows your mind, the things you learn. I know that's such a nerdy teacher sentiment, but seriously, read everything. Don't Google, read it.
Don't Google. All right. Hey, Google be coming in clutch.
Google lies, though, sometimes. Google
lying,
tricks
though.
you. So read the book.
Yeah.
Look for it. Teach yourself things.
A lot. You say books. People don't even know what you're talking about. What's books? Yeah, there's books out there, guys. There's libraries. Isabel, drop your IG. Drop something. Tell the people one last words before we go.
I'm not gonna drop an IG as well.
We can't do that.
Yeah, we're teachers. We
teachers.
can't do that. No.
Cool.
We don't want to be found.
All right. All right, Isabel. So any last words?
Stop having such an opinion. Shut up. Do your research, and then talk.
All right, nice. All right, guys. So we will see you guys next week. This has been SYA The Talk.